This is a tutorial for the forward bending version of Vajrasana. Vajrasana is a seated kneeling pose in which you're sitting back on the heels. The forward bending version is usually referred to as child's pose. So to get into this posture, I like to bring most students to hands and knees, and then as they exhale, their hips will go back toward their heels. Classically, the wrists are just under the shoulders and the knees are close together, possibly touching. This allows for the most movement in the hips and the back, as well as the arms and legs. Some things to look out for, just as with other forward bending poses, are the position of the legs, whether they're wide or narrow, and how that affects the movement of the hips and the back. So if you have reduced mobility, you'll have your knees a little bit wider than if you're quite flexible in the hips. And also looking at the neck. So just as with Uttanasana and other forward bending poses, you might notice that the back of the head comes up and the chin juts forward as the hips go back toward the heels. And this is a compensation that the neck is making for other parts of the spine. So keeping the neck in this Jalandhara Bandha position where the chin is kind of drawn up close to the throat and down toward the chest as the hips go back toward the heels is going to keep the movement throughout the spine so that it's not centered mostly on the neck. The trick of this pose is to gradually let the weight go back toward the legs and then put it back into the hands. The arms should be fairly relaxed. They're bearing weight at the beginning. As you exhale, the weight shifts completely back to the legs. And then as you inhale and come back up, the weight very gradually comes back to the hands. So try a few on your own. You'll start maybe bringing the hands a little bit wide and the knees about hip width apart. And then as you exhale, belly draws in toward the spine. Chin is tucked slightly as your hips go back toward your heels. And then as you inhale, you'll make your way back up. So again, as you exhale, the belly draws back toward the spine, your hips drift back towards your heels, and the whole back is elongated. On your inhale, you'll press with the legs and gradually come back up to hands and knees. Try a couple more. And after you finish with this one, you could take a couple breaths either seated in Vajrasana, the seated kneeling pose, or you can stay in Vajrasana forward bend, child's pose. And take a few breaths to see how you feel. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this guide useful.